Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We are coming to you live here from the PhD Speed Gaming Expo, bringing you all the board game coverage all day long. And right now, we are joined with Nathan from Pegasus Spiele.
Hey, how we doing?
My German's a little rusty. Did I say that okay?
You did, and my German's a little clunky. My English is actually slightly worse, but I'm getting by.
Fantastic. So there's a lot. You took a little bit to set it up, but there's a lot of stuff on this table.
Yeah, sure is.
I'm amazed you got it set up as quickly as you did, to be honest.
I am that good.
So what have you brought to show off to us today?
So this is Crown of Amara. So because we play favorites, and we really don't, but we do love Twist, we want to give you guys a little sneak peek and see what's coming around the corner. This is going to be a Gen Con release. This was originally released at Essen last year, and it's just now coming to the United States, but you still can't get it yet, but we're ready for you. You're going to absolutely love this game. This is an unapologetic Euro. It's obviously worker placement, resource management, but it has that X factor that simply lends itself to just being fun. Mm-hmm. And played correctly, you can play through pretty quickly. You can play as 2 to 4 player, and the time stamp that they say is going to take is 45 to 75 minutes. I find that to be true. It really depends. Your second playthrough, you're going to tear through it really fast. First time is probably 75, even if you're playing with 2 or 3 players. But after that, you're going to tear through it, and that's where it starts getting really super competitive.
So it's not one of those games that says 75 minutes, but it means like 175 minutes.
No, it really depends. If you're digging through the rule book yourself for the very first time, maybe. But if you're going to hang out here with us and Twist and kind of get a little sneak peek behind the velvet curtain, this will kind of give you a little bit of leg up so you can tear through it a little faster.
Fantastic.
And
so
we do have some how-to play videos coming up.
Awesome. Thematically speaking, what kind of game is Crown of Amara? What kind of skin are we looking at for this Euro worker placement game?
And so this is it's going to feel honestly medieval times. We've got a town over here, rustic and all of that. Here you have the countryside. You're actually going to be playing both boards simultaneously. You're allowed to go one move, and you choose whether you're going to move this worker or this worker. And from there, you'll be able to do different actions and bonus actions. There's principal actions, and then actions that you can do at any time on your turn, like bonus actions.
Okay.
And you do have 2 different scoring tracks going on simultaneously. You've got your workers over here, and you have your housing for your workers over here. Your housing's going to start like about midway through. These are actually going to be much more difficult to move. You'll find will take off really quickly. If you're a little bit more of an experienced gamer, to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge, my crew and I actually ended up starting our housing over here. Here's the kicker, is with the 2 tracks, the only one that scores is your lowest. And then whoever has the highest lowest score, and I'll say that again carefully, whoever has the highest lowest score, or whoever low score is the highest among the people playing, wins.
So this doesn't favor the min-maxer that goes to just shoot off the track on one skill, and then maybe leave your other point tracker on the lower end of things.
Yeah, I believe it was Rainier Canisius said the way to win in gaming is a balanced approach. Mm-hmm. And if I'm misquoting, I very much apologize, but it was something along those lines. Or misattributing. One other little fun thing, and Pegasus is really good about this, most of my game group is male, but that's only by like 55 to 45. There's a huge percentage of my gaming group that's also female. So if you'll notice on all of these, you've got a male version and a female
look
version.
at that. So that's the male version of my character card there, and then you got the female version. So you got the representation across the board there. That's cool.
And similarly, on both sides, all of these modular boards are double-sided, and it's purely for aesthetics. One is just more beautiful. This one's a little bit more clean to look at. There is a randomization, so the replayability is forever. It's all just modular, and just you can randomize it, and it'll always be different. Now, would you like to get into the mechanics of the game?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. So what will happen is this happens in 6 rounds. You're going to shuffle these through.
We've each got a individual hand of these player cards here.
Mm-hmm. And on the back of the player cards, not to get ahead of us, either have, say, a resource, an action, or things that also, like this means you can do anything in the town as your action. You'll actually get essentially 2 actions, even though it won't feel like it. It's 1 turn. But these will indicate, if you want to put this on the close-up cam, these will indicate the number of steps. And this is one of those things where it's like no more, no less. So if this is your worker and you've placed a card in your 2 steps, it'd be 1, 2, or 1, 2. There's also 1 step. There's even one of the cards that shows that it's an additional step. There you go.
I'm assuming this one here. Yeah.
So that basically will feel like 2 turns. And you can divide those up, or you can keep it with the same one, but you will do 2 full actions with that. Other things we'll be going through, so you'll play that card, and then it'll go to the next person. Then you'll play another card and execute all of those. Then you'll play another card and execute all of those. The very first thing that happens is you've got something that's going to be continuing on, and this is done every time you go through one of these and you flip another card. So this is going to be something that goes on throughout the entire round, if you want to show
All right,
these
so
things.
these are modifiers for each round.
Modifiers.
So this one here, we've got new lore and old books, so end of round. What does that show there?
So that is either a book or a ring you can exchange 1 time for 5 housing points, the more difficult victory track over here.
Ooh.
And there's also a little bit of a modifier over here in these corners traditionally that is really, you have to look really carefully because it's small. They fit a lot on a very small card. And that's showing where whatever one happens to pop up first, that's going to show where your starting player is. All the players will follow clockwise thereafter.
Oh, okay.
So it even has built in a randomization for where to begin. Now let's talk about some of the different attributes you have on the board. So this is what we'll call, just for practical purposes, principal actions. Let's say that we've moved 2, you would receive a wood resource. After some time, when you're there, if you have these resources as your principal action, let's say that I had a stone and a wood, I would place a worker there. Next time I come around, I would get 1 wood for this worker and 2 wood for this worker. And also, instead of receiving a wood for one of your workers, next time around, you can exchange a wheat here for bread. Bread comes into play over here, and that's the resources for all over here. Each one of them has a different strength. For example, wheat you can use for bread. The silk or material is dominantly used for the advisors you'll find over here. Stone is stone and the wood over here is actually a couple of my favorite little tricks because you can come over here for stone and exchange it 1 time for 5 housing points and 5 victory points. You can exchange bread up to 3 loaves of bread times 7 for victory points. And then as soon as any of those happen, it clicks down 1. So everything on the board is going to end up being erased. When you come over here and pay a resource for a ring, it'll click down 1, and suddenly it's more expensive.
So it's diminishing returns as the game progresses, so it gets harder and harder for you to get these victory points.
Indeed.
And you get less and less of them the more you go on in the game.
Absolutely. And there's other things that are happening simultaneously. There's just a lot going on. For bonus actions, you can, this is to put a worker out is a bonus action. You can do that for free if you have the resources to pay for it. You can also buy wherever this one happens to be, even if this is the one that you moved. Wherever this one happens to be, if you have the resources, you can buy one of these advisors, or you could buy one of these advisors per se.
Oh, okay.
For your principal actions over here, we talked about the resources, the diminishing attribute that you may have here. Other things is you can accrue, say, these library books by making a donation over here, and then you get like 3 of these type of tiles that you get to choose one of them and put the other 2 as a discard. And once you use it, it'll go into the discard pile as well. And then these you can exchange over here. For your first one, you get 3 victory points. 3, you get 10 victory points. 5, you get 21 victory points. And then at the same time, if you notice, you're also collecting rings and coin, which for up here gives you that race feeling as well. All of these will be 3 victory points. The first one here is 6 victory points, and then the subsequent one is 5 victory points. Mm-hmm. By the time you get up here to the Duke, and these are all prerequisites. In order to get the count, you have to have previously purchased the Baron, and these will fit neatly.
Okay.
If you look, they'll fit just snugly underneath here.
Oh, look at
so
that.
you know exactly what you've already purchased. And by the time you get to the Duke, that's 21 victory points. The subsequent one for the next person to arrive is 17. So it drops really quickly.
You start seeing a more significant diminishing return on those.
Absolutely. And that is the basic overview. Again, just to recap the principal action and bonus actions, moving around here and collecting resources, one for your worker and any bonus workers that you may have already established here in previous turns will get you one for each of those. If you happen to have a wheat, instead of collecting one of the resources, you can exchange that for bread. We mentioned how the bread will work over here. We'll click that back to its original point. By the way, all of these also have 2 or 3 player versions.
Oh, look at that.
And it's got a little 2 or 3 player right there, and then 4 player. And so in this case, they will start a little tighter. And that goes for these tiles as well. And then other bonus actions are, if you've got the resources for it, you can put out additional workers. And this, you can only do it on the quadrant that you're on. Also on the quadrant that you're on as a resource, you can gather, if you can afford to, get one of these advisors. And they'll sit up here whispering in your Duke or lady's ear or whomever. Also bonus actions is buying those, executing one of these. That will not cost you an action that you've already accrued from a previous turn. And then coming up here, these are all also bonus actions.
There's a lot of different ways to score, is what you're saying.
And there's also a lot of ways to lose to somebody else who, I mean, we all have that friend that we game with that just walks in, oh, is this the first time I'm playing? And they just destroy me.
That would be Josh back there. He does that all the time to me, and I
There's
harbor
2
a
different
little bit of
ladies
resentment.
that come and shame me. That is in my gaming group, and you two know who you are. And I'm not even going to give you the privilege of calling you out.
So that is Crown of Amara. Where can our viewers go to find more information about Crown of Amara?
You can get a little bit of a sneak peek. You can go to Pegasus Spiele. .de, because this is a German company. We're just now coming to the United States. Before you were able to only buy things from us at Gen Con, we are now in distribution in the United States, and we've got a lot more to... can I show them some of the other things? Because this is the first time our audience is actually seeing these other than at Gen Con.
We got a few minutes left, so I figure we can do a speed round.
Speed round it is. Rainier Knizia, abstract. I honestly don't lean towards abstract games. To quote one of my very best friends, I hate how much I love this game. And it is, and if you happen to be a store owner, you can learn and teach it just by the back of the box. It's this straightforward. And it actually plays really cleanly. And this is one of those that we continue to break out. My team continues to break out over and over again. When we debuted this at Gen Con last year, that's the one that every single person that was working is like, I have to leave with a copy of that. And none of us are abstract gamers. This guy, just go deep on this. This is like one of those things that was available only at Kickstarter for some time. Mm-hmm. They did a Kickstarter and then it was available only in Europe. People were gray marketing. I'm doing that as very polite quotes for way expensive. Other than that, it was available only at Gen Con. It's now available in distribution. It has, now that it's coming over, they already have set in motion 3 expansions that are available, and they're releasing a brand new 4th expansion at Gen Con this year.
So a lot of content for it as well.
A lot of content. You can go deep. And what it is it's a co-op that feels, well, it feels kind of like Pandemic, where on crack, if you will. I don't know if I could say that. But it also,
I mean, you did, so.
And it has, if you notice on back here, it has a real claustrophobic effect. You'll see arrows start to, and it's a fighting co-op, so you're trying to fight and beat it. There's about 20 ways to lose, 1 way to win. It's really challenging, but people kept coming back for more and demanding more, so the expansions are there. This one you can go deep on and just have a lot of fun with. Entry-level co-op. This is Talisman. The Talisman universe is back. And this is an entry-level co-op even for people that don't know Talisman. They're just kind of getting into co-op for the first time. This is a nice blank slate game where you can just sit around, learn, have a good time, and be goofy. If you're not laughing, you're playing the game wrong. In this case, and yes, I said that about Talisman, but Talisman Legendary Tales. And
cool.
A modular board on that as well. This is one that you may have already seen advertising about, and this came out this quarter. Adventure Island is a co-op. This is going to play like a choose-your-own-adventure board game that has this not only a legacy, it also has replayability built into it.
So this one actually, you were demoing for us last night, and we got to play the first
adventure,
first story, whatever it's called there, of this, and that was a lot of fun playing that. And I like the cooperative, choose your own adventure style elements to it.
And that's where some of the X factor comes in, because the player actually has the final say in what they're going to do. Everybody wants them to say go get food, and they're like, nah, I'm going to go exploring, and they do. Or everyone just kind of has input, but at the end you either win together or you lose together. And no, this is honestly, this one passes the pop culture sniff test. Like, this is just straight fun. And coming back with Rainier Knizia, this may not look like one that's going to jump off the shelf. Let me tell you, this is the one game that we have that everyone, including myself one time, may or may not have threatened to flip the table on. What it is a race puzzle game. And everyone's trying to complete similar puzzles on this. Everybody has the exact same layout. The first person to achieve that layout. And I will show you this in terms of replayability. You've got this many maps. So you can. This is like a one-time purchase. You can play forever.
Nice.
And everybody's trying to match those. That's what you're trying to achieve. And then lastly, this is where things get kind of fun. We've got, more fun. We've got, all of these are going to be available for $15. These are all two-player games, and we've got more coming out. And do they want like sort of like an inside tip about something to look at Gen Con that's not available yet?
Sure.
All right. So we have a series of one-play games called Undo coming out. Each one $15. And what those are is you are a bunch of time travelers. You're going back to prevent or
Undo.
change a famous crime. It's undo. And you have one of three effects. And it's supposed to be a one-time play, but either you achieve in preventing this major terrible thing from happening, you have absolutely no effect whatsoever, or you actually make it worse. So it's not supposed to have replayability in it, but
it's got, since you got different end results, you have some replayability there.
We also have, the art in these guys, you want to pop any of these up. And look at the big, massive cards on this.
Green one's probably not the best one to do, but
how about that red guy?
All right.
And the art in these, just huge, spectacular. These are all essentially micro games, all two-player games, including one by Rainier Knizia right here, Dragon Master.
And I see another one in the Dwarves line there as well.
Yes. And so inside tip that's not going to be put out there on print. You just kind of have to know a guy. In this case, if you look really carefully in the bottom of this box, it may or may not have an expansion for something else, a little hidden expansion, but we didn't tell you that because that would ruin the surprise if there happened to be something like that hidden in the bottom of this box.
Very subtle, right there.
And it's a completely separate game, completely different. But for the fans, you're going to want this for something that may or may not be there.
Very good. So unfortunately, we're out of time right now, but thank you so much for stopping by and showing off all of the amazing games from Pegasus Spiele. And for all of our viewers at home, make sure that you go check out yourself at pegasusspiele.de.
Correct.
I got it right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first try, too.
But for now, make sure that you stay tuned for the rest of the coverage throughout the day here at the PhD Speed Gaming Expo. But for now, I'm Matt. Have a good one, everyone.